Hi, my name is Karen B., and I am a violist with the Phoenix Symphony. Congratulations on deciding to take the audition for the regional orchestra this year. I'll be talking about each of the excerpts and playing them for you, and I hope this helps you prepare your best for the audition in January. We'll be starting with excerpt number 1, which is from Brahms' Piano Concerto number 1. So the first thing that I notice in students playing this excerpt is that they have a hard time finding the right tempo. If you look, they have given us a tempo of quarter note equals 98, but it is in 6/4 time. So what I see a lot of students do is they think of it as 2 big beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be the wrong tempo. That's going to be much too fast for this excerpt. Instead, think of it in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that will get you much closer to the tempo that was intended by Brahms. Another thing to notice about this excerpt is the dynamics. So we have piano espressivo at the beginning, and we have a crescendo, but really the first 4 bars are within that piano sound. And it's not until we get the crescendo in bar 188 that we're actually going to start moving past into a louder dynamic and in fact changing character with those staccato notes near the end of the excerpt where it is forte. So here is the first excerpt. Moving on to excerpt number 2. So this is from a symphony by Haydn. So this is much earlier in music history than Brahms and has a very different style. I like to think of Haydn as having high tea on the front lawn. It's very sophisticated, very elegant. Everything needs to be crystal clear. So again, we have a danger of falling into the wrong tempo right from the beginning. This is the second movement of the symphony, so it is the slower movement. And you notice that the first 2 notes are actually quarter notes, so the temptation is to play them too fast. But remember, we have 16th note coming, and even the 16th notes shouldn't feel rushed or frantic in any way. They're very poised. Remember, high T. So also looking at your dynamics, we have a piano at the beginning, and then that subito forte, meaning suddenly forte, in the bar 60 is when that happens. And this needs to be a very clear change from your piano dynamic to your forte. As well, we have sforzandos coming up in the middle of the excerpt, and all of those things need to be obvious enough for the audience to hear them, to make it clear that you have read those dynamics and you know how to make them happen. Here's Haydn. One other thing to notice about this excerpt is that it ends with these 8th notes followed by 8th rest, and it's very tempting to speed those up. But remember, this is an excerpt from a larger piece, and someone else in the orchestra is playing something much more complicated. So we got to be nice to them. Don't speed it up at the end. Keep that steady tempo. All right, excerpt number 3. This is Mendelssohn, the Hebrides Overture. This is your first fast excerpt, and it's allegro moderato, meaning that it is moderately fast, but it feels pretty fast with those 16 notes coming in the middle and the end of the excerpt. One thing to notice here is we don't really have any dynamic change. It is fortissimo the whole time. So what can we do? We can still make phrasing. We can go up when the line goes up, we can bring the dynamic up and go down a little bit. We want that beautiful phrasing to make more sense of the line, even though we are fortissimo the entire time. Remember, when you're playing a fast excerpt, the judge would much rather hear you play your best, even if it's a little bit slower than the tempo you think should go. Much better to play a little slow, but beautifully perfect and clear, rather than playing too fast and missing notes. Here's excerpt number 3. Okay, moving on to excerpt number 4. Now, excerpts 1 through 3, you will be playing for the regional audition. If you are successful in that audition, then you have the opportunity to audition for All-State. And the All-State audition requires excerpts 4 and 5. So you may notice that 4 and 5 are significantly more difficult than the first 3, and that's definitely on purpose. Our excerpt number 5 is another piece by Mendelssohn, and it is fast, very fast. Again, remember, like the previous Mendelssohn, that you shouldn't play it faster than you can, and we're looking for clear notes and also beautiful phrasing. What do we have dynamically? Well, we're loud for quite a while, just like the previous Mendelssohn, but then in measure 18, we have a piano. So we're going to drop and make a big difference in our dynamics there. Listening to these pieces can be very, very helpful, because when I'm listening to someone perform an excerpt, it is very clear if they know what's going on in the rest of the orchestra. Understanding how your part fits is very useful and makes you a better musician and gives you a better performance of these excerpts. One other thing to think about on your fast excerpts, including this one, number 4, is where you are playing the fast notes in your bow. So if we play at the tip, we're not going to get clear sound, and we're not going to get that loud sound that is asked for here. If we play too far at the frog, well, it's uncomfortable and it's very easy to have a scratchy sound. When you're playing at the frog, everything's bent up and the movement is very complicated. If we're right in the middle of the bow, then our bow stroke is just a matter of opening the elbow and closing it. A very simple movement, and gives you a clear sound, a loud sound, and is much easier to make that phrasing happen. So here is excerpt number 4. This is Mendelssohn's Symphony number 5, first movement. Our final excerpt, number 5, is from Beethoven's Symphony number 9. This is very famous, but maybe not this part of it. Everyone knows the very famous Ode to Joy, which is in the last movement. This is actually from the first movement. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is actually a very long, hour-long piece, and this comes in the first few minutes of the work. It says allegro ma non troppo. Remember, when you're a musician, you should understand every word that's on the page. If you need to Google it, that's okay. This means fast, but not too much. So I want you to keep in mind that even though we have 16th notes to start, we have 30-second notes coming up in the middle of the excerpt. So we don't want to start those 16th notes too fast, because the 30 seconds will feel very uncomfortable. Let's look at what Beethoven does dynamically. Pianissimo, sempre pianissimo. Sempre means always. So he's really telling us you got to be quiet, you got to stay quiet. And that is a hard thing to do when we're playing those 16 notes and working really hard to get all those chromatics. But we got to keep it quiet. And then when we switch to the 30-second note passage, it is forte. In this passage, we have these really fast notes, but then you have the rests. This is another trap to fall into here. So make sure that you are counting a full beat and a half of rests when you have those in measure 9 and 11. Those are pretty long rests. When we switch back to pianissimo, we're going to keep it sempre pianissimo all the way to the end. So leave it to Beethoven, king of drama, to give us those extremes of dynamic in one excerpt. Here is excerpt number 5. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck in your audition. Remember, they just want to hear what you can do, and you can do amazing things. I hope that this video has helped you, and good luck in your preparations.